Okay, everyone, we're going to be starting up pretty soon here. Just making some final checks. See, I have this nice new background now to everything, so it's now just not a blank screen you can stare at. You can actually stare at this lovely green image. It fits my name. I'm Alex Groove, aka Green Sue here. Going to be bringing you episode 2 of Learn the League. Today we're going to be looking at, let me actually, yes. Today I'm going to fix my hair as well. Today we're actually going to be looking at a top game, high elo game, about 2,000 elo, just about, and we're going to be focusing mainly on the top today, the top lane. It's going to be a Darius and a Yorick. They're going to be playing against each other, and I'm going to be going through looking at all the weaknesses of them, all the strengths, just everything that you can get behind, and how to counteract. Because like I said yesterday, really hard champion to counter when you're in the top lane is definitely Darius. He's a very solid top. He's very good at what he does. So I thought I'd take a look at how to counter him. Let's actually look into the game now as well. If I can bring that up. There we go. Here's the game right here. And before I actually start the game, what I'm gonna want to do is go over very opening builds you can go with each hero. I'm gonna start out with Yorick here. Yorick, mostly with masteries, you're really gonna want to focus on utility. I find utility and damage. That's really what he's best at. Not really much defense. That comes on its own just by playing him. Usually though, you're gonna want to grab so you can have the extra mana regen and extra speed because he's pretty slow off the bat, and all that extra help is really just fantastic. You really want that all early on. Any attack just because he's a melee centric hero, and you're really gonna want to be at least in my personal opinion, you're gonna want to be buffing up his Q in the beginning. Not in the beginning, just Q is gonna be your main damage source. It's gonna be your really big burst hitter, and then you're gonna want to be following up with your W and your E in generally no particular order, except when you're in the lane phase, it'll usually be a W followed by an E, and then if you're getting close, you can grab them with the Q. Passive being letting you stack with just based on how many ghosts you have out, because he summons ghosts. That's what he does. He has kind of 4 at a time, and yes, yours feels a 30% of his attack speed, and then for every ghost he has, he gets 5 more damage and 5 reduced damage to him. So that's always something you want to take advantage of. You always want to, whenever you get into a fight, you want to immediately drop your ghosts. You want to drop all your summons onto them so you can have that. Items-wise, you can usually grab a pretty standard way of taking boots with some health pots or some mana pots. I always recommend taking, at least, I don't recommend taking health pots with Yorick. At least, maybe in the beginning, but after that, you really can back off them. As with his E, it's a life steal ghost, so it will be able to hold you off there. And then that's really all you need. I don't really recommend health pots with Yorick. There's nothing wrong with health pots, but yes, health pots, nothing wrong with them, just I find you can spend it better with just taking advantage of his E more effectively. Other items you can grab a Dorn Shield. That's pretty helpful too, especially when you know you're going to be going up against someone like Darius, who is a big AD damage dealer. He just really will shove that out on you. So Dorn Shield is also not bad, or Cloth Armor if you're also just going straight for the armor. And then usually you're gonna want to build up into just mana, a bit of mana regen, then going into a bit of defense along with extra AD damage and maybe a bit of AP for his W. Although as I find his W is better used for its secondary effect of slowing, not so much damage dealing. It can be used for clearing creep waves pretty effectively. That's really about it. Now that we've talked about Yorick, we can go over and look at Darius. Well, I'm sorry, no, we have not finished talking about Yorick. Let's actually go back to him. One other things to know about Yorick, his mastery, not his masteries, his rune page. You really going to want to go with some armor penetration and some defense. So, yeah, some armor and armor penetration, and a bit of not an AP, ability cooldown, because you start with basic, pretty lengthy cooldowns for him. Lowest one being 9 seconds, highest one being 12. So you see what you see where you're at in there. So a bit of cooldown reduction is not a bad is will not go amiss there, and the armor penetration just for that extra shoving through, especially with who you're thinking about going up against when you're playing him top. And then some of your spells where you see this Yorick who is playing by Okren Trihin. That's the last time I'm trying to pronounce it because I will only pronounce it wrong from this day forth. Sticking to it. Okren Trihin. Anyway, we see he grabs a teleport and a flash. Very safe summoner spell build there. Teleport just be able to grab back into the lane very quickly, or just jump around the map where you need be, and flash just for that extra escapability if you're slow enough. Now we can look at Darius. Where is he? Darius is here. There he is. That nice little man-filled armor. Now Darius, he has a couple of options when it comes to grabbing his first off ability. I would usually recommend a Decimate or an Apprehend, depending on how you plan on going in the beginning. If you plan on invading the enemy's jungle, I would say go for an Apprehend as to really separate that one person you want to get to grab the first blood on. If you're gonna go up, if you're gonna just go lane first, you're better off with a Decimate, I find, unless you also plan on being aggressive. That's what it is. If you plan on being aggressive, grab an Apprehend first level. But if you don't, if you plan on just laning and farming, grab a Decimate as it's much better for those purposes. And as a Darius, you really it's very important you take advantage of your what's it called? Your passive, your hemorrhage. Stacking that damage and stacking it fast so you can deal all that extra damage. Because Darius, in the beginning, does not take a lot. No character really takes a lot of hits. Yorick, I find, is better taking hits in the beginning. Yeah, better taking hits. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, hemorrhage is a very good way to pull that into your favor. Moving on, opening builds you can go for Darius. Again, there's always the easy ones like boots with health bots. Again, with Darius, it's much more pertinent that you can take health bots. I find it more acceptable, better justifiably to take health bots as it will be more helpful in that way to you. Excuse me as I just look over here at some things. If you have anything you'd also like to ask, feel free to do it, as I am watching the chat at all times, so if there's anything you'd like to ask or add, don't feel afraid to say so. I love extra questions. Back over at Darius, though. When it comes to masteries, I find, really going hard into, attack and defense. I don't want to give specific numbers, because it's always different depending on the person. I don't like to recommend it like that. So I'm just going to stick with that. You're going to damage output really quickly, and defense, obviously, just so you can hold your own. You're probably going to want to spread yourself out as the same way, too. Normally, since you can type up masteries in the champion select screen, it's not a bad idea to just wait and see who you're playing against. So you always have that advantage over them, is you can build masteries whenever you feel like it. So always take advantage of that. But yeah, defense and damage just for lasting and hurting your opponent real hard right there. And looking at his summoner spells, let me actually bring him back up. Taking a flash and ignite, a very aggressive set of spells. Flash, although used for escape, also used for tracking down your opponent, and ignite just for putting that little extra push over the edge. Always a good idea there, just to grab that. I can't think of many instances where grabbing ignite is a bad idea. It's also very good for taking advantage of Darius's ultimate, the Noxian Guillotine, which the cooldown, since the cooldown refresh, if you kill it, you always want to bring it down low enough so you're always guaranteed the kill. That's something very important you want to focus on with Darius, is chaining together those kills to get the doubles and the triple kills. That's really where Darius starts to get really powerful and really threatening towards his opponent. Anyway, now that we've gone we have not gone on rune pages. Rune pages, just straight damage and armor penetration runes. Maybe a bit of cooldown reduction. He's similar to Yorick in that respect, but really a bigger focus on damage and armor penetration. That's really That's really a much better bet, is you just want to deal straight damage and just run in there and bam bam bam. Bit of armor probably wouldn't hurt either, but again, straight damage really isn't a bad idea. Now, yes, now we can continue. I feel like I've covered everything I want to cover in the beginning right before we start, so now we can actually get into the game. I'm just going to start up and immediately just going to speed it up a little bit just so we can fly through. I have watched this replay once or twice already, just so I know basically where I'm heading with my thoughts, whereas I want to focus on. I'm also learning more hotkeys with the Law Replayer. Figured out a little couple of bugs with it, got it up more smoothly. I hope it looks smoothly on goes smoothly on your end as well. Any problems, you can just drop me a hate in the chat, and if it's easily reversible or something like that, I'll see what I can do about it. If it's not, I feel like it'll really take away. I'll probably not go for it. I don't want to really give into like demand processing, or else it just gets out of hand. Now at the beginning, we did see your go for a cloth armor with some health pots. Nothing wrong with that. Just not the way I would go. Not the way I would recommend. We actually saw Darius grab a door and shield. Also, pretty good. That extra defense, extra health. It's really just a good, solid opener. There's not really much you're really gonna be, really worried about. And we saw he does grab Decimate off the bat, just for he didn't plan on being aggressive. And we also see York grabbing his W, just also since he knows he's gonna play against Darius, he doesn't really want him getting up in his faces. He's gonna want to slow him down and hold him back as long as he can. It does take probably the most mana, I believe. 55, 40, and 55. Well, no, okay, so it's equal with his E. There's nothing wrong with that. And now you see real strength becoming in. Once they hit level 2, you can see York really pulling ahead when it comes up. They're in the same engagement, probably taking the same amount of damage, but due to his due to York's E, he's able to just land it on Darius and regain that health. So that's really where the power comes in. And we see Darius really just holding back. He's really just waiting. Now that he has his 3 base abilities. Sorry about that. Let's go back over here. With his 3 base abilities, we really see that he's really just going in for the harassment. He's not really trying to kill him right as of yet. He is just going to harassing him with putting that hemorrhage down, which is affected both by his auto attacks and his damaging abilities, which are pretty much all of them. And York's actually doing this a pretty smart thing. He's not being very aggressive. In the beginning, Darius will take most champions down in a straight one-on-one combat situation. So you won't play passive against him in the beginning until you can get up enough damage and enough defense to really hold your own against him and justify being able to push forward. And Darius being what he should do, and he is being aggressive and pushing forward. Forcing a good flash out of him early from Jin Shao there. Any gank is always a successful gank if you can get a kill, or if you can force a ultimate or a summoner cell of them. That's always a successful gank. I actually see a pretty early B from Yorick, actually going back at about 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Grabbing a Goddess's Tear plus just Goddess Tear plus some wards. Being ganked. You can see powerfulness of gank from your own side, but you never want to be ganked by yourself. So investing in ward isn't a bad idea. And we will see constantly just them poking back and forth with each other, and York usually getting the better of it, as he can do that with his ability to both do damage and run at the same time. That's really one of York's strong suit, is one of these champions that can be running but still dealing constant damage with his summons there, who will just damage on the way. Also, if you can pull your enemy into the creep line, they will do damage to him as well. And actually, one creep doesn't do a lot, but when you got about 6 there, just focusing on one, it really does make that difference. Yes, and the Tear of the Goddess is actually a very good item for York there, as it does allow for that stacking of mana. Always extra amount of mana is never a bad idea for York, as he is a very heavy ability using champion, as his auto attack is not really his strong suit. It's not really what you're really going to be focused on, except for your Q, where you will be dropping that as often as you can on your enemy or when farming in the beginning. So that's really where your attack damage comes from. You also want to be able to drop, since the mana will let you drop it as often as possible. Just trucking right